Hey, welcome. Good morning. We're happy to have you here at the Soul Search Enlightenment Expo Psychic and Healing Fair in Rohnert Park. And I'm delighted. My name is Allison, and on behalf of Soul Search, we're just really happy to have you all with us this morning. So I'm delighted to introduce you to Reverend Annie Batchelder. And I'd like to tell you just a little bit about her. She is a gifted channel, psychic, medium, and healer. With over 30 years of experience, she has dedicated her life to helping reunify people with their soul and the divine. As Reverend Annie says, truly the divine doeth the work, not I. I think you're a good combo, actually. Annie's natural psychic ability has been enhanced by teaching Awakening Your Light Body, Channeling 101, and how to read the Akashic Records. Through these spiritual practices, Annie made peace with her own painful life experiences, including being disabled with multiple sclerosis for 10 years, multiple tubal pregnancies, a miscarriage, and having to give back an adopted newborn to the birth family. Annie trusts her soul and the great creatress, the divine, to lead her gracefully through life and to be of service to clients and students. By embodying her soul's light and consciousness, she channels loving information that heals those in need. Welcome.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Annie Batchelder. I'm a reverend also, but I don't stand on ceremony and titles. I'm mostly Annie. Everybody knows me. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to just do a quick prayer to get us going. Great creatress, divine birther of us all, assist us to fully embody our soul's light, to see as you see, to love as you love. May our soul purposes serve you, great creators, as well as uplifting others. May our soul's purposes also aid in your divine plan of love and unity with all life. Amen.
Amen.
I think opening with a prayer is a good idea.
Yeah.
It calms me down anyway, and I'm a little nervous, it seems like, this morning. So anyway, I want to talk about soul consciousness, and I really wanted this to be an interactive thing, so chime in. I love questions. You know, questions are the can openers in my work. And what I want to know is who here believes that having a deep and abiding relationship with your soul is important at this time in life. Okay. Universal, yes. Love people who raise their hands and participate. Now, why do you think it's important to have a relationship with your soul, have some knowledge of your soul?
Yeah, I guess because it gives you a deeper understanding of who you are and kind of balance in your life.
She said, I guess it gives you a deeper understanding of who you are and balances your life. I think that's a great way of framing it. Perfect. You know, any other ideas? Any other reasons to be close to your soul? Yeah.
It makes you kinder to others.
Well, it makes you kinder to others. This is really true because our souls love us unconditionally. They really do. And we haven't really been given a lot of training or knowledge about having a soul. I mean, I grew up, I didn't have a lot of religious training, and it didn't look that good to me, the religious training I saw. It was like, well, no, thank you. I did try to be a Jehovah's Witness for a little while in junior high school, but when the Bible study teacher said, we think you're too young to have a boyfriend, when I was a freshman in high school, in my mind, I went, boys 1, God 0. That was the scorecard. So, and you can see that carried through my life. Anyway, welcome. Have a seat. Pick up a flyer. So, how do you think you receive messages from your soul? Just any answers. I'm not looking for the right answer because there isn't one in my book. There's your answer. and there's my answer, and there's her answer, and there's, other people's answers. It's a unique one-to-one personal relationship. And how do you think you receive messages from your soul?
Through signs.
Signs. Great. What does signs look like? Like coincidental synchronicities?
Synchronicity.
Yeah. Great.
What about feelings?
Feelings is a big one with me. As a channel since 1988 and working in the Akashic Records, which are the soul level plane of consciousness that is the record of the soul's entire journey from inception to wherever it goes. It's all about the soul for me. And in my experience, that information, messages, urgings, directions, clear cuts, yeses, nos, or this is why, come through body sensations, phrases in my head, pictures that I get, a sense of, there's a yes and a no. When you look inside, goes, am I a yes for this or am I no for this? You get an answer, don't you? Everybody's laughing because yeah. And so that has to be respected. And if you ask me, that's my soul talking. That's my inner compass, or my BS meter. I believe we all have a BS meter. And like sometimes it pings. And like if I don't listen to that, I'm going to crash into a wall, and it's probably going to be emotionally uncomfortable. And that will be the lesson. So, what does a soul message constitute? Like, how does it sound? Is there a way, the difference between, like, I know what my inner mind sounds like because it talks to me all day, right? That's my mind chatter. But what does a soul message sound like or feel like when you get them?
I feel like it's like energy.
Energy.
For me, I feel like, okay, that doesn't feel like the right kind of energy for me. So it's kind of like an intuition thing, like, okay, I'm not really liking this space and where I'm at in this energy, so I need to kick it out or do whatever I need to do to.
And that's your soul talking to you to use your discernment, we might say, about this energy isn't for you.
Right.
Or this energy is for you. Like an invitation feels like an invitation. Oh, that's nice. If it's like, no, that's to divert your path. Go around. Obstacle ahead.
Right.
I sense that too. I clearly get that. Do you ever get pictures? No?
Or maybe just like setting an intention how you want that space to be, I guess, kind of like would be like a picture of how, like, I really want to do this, but I want this space to be this way, and if it's not that way, then I'm gonna change it, or like intuition.
Yeah, and having an intention, it's like makes you kind of formulate a real thought,
Right?
Make a real plan, and direct your attention at creating something in a certain way. It's going to feel like this. It's going to have these components, and this is going to add to it in this way, and all that, right? Yeah, exactly. And to me, that's like listening to my soul. And in my world, soul messages are very direct and they're very loving. And I've learned through working in the Akashic Records and through channeling my guide, Anubis, who said our higher purpose together is reuniting humans with their souls, and from there with the divine. And I've learned that my soul, loves me very much. My soul chose this body, this personality as the perfect avenue to get its soul's purposes accomplished in this world, in this lifetime. And my soul doesn't walk away from me. It doesn't let me down in the pinch, in the clinch, or whatever that expression is. When I'm in times of trouble, my soul is there helping me. In the Akashic Records too, it's clear that the soul, it's become clear, especially through writing this book, which is a chanted book Soul Consciousness, Bringing Forth Soul Consciousness, and Akashic Records Guide to Living a Fulfilled Life. This book has taught me, I'm channeling all these chapters, and they're channeling topics like how the soul is constructed. And I'm looking around going, I didn't know anything about us writing a book. This was not, and nobody announced this one, which was probably smart because I probably would have ran away. And that the soul is the connector between the human and the divine. So me, the human, my soul, the divine. You, the human, your soul, the divine. All of you are connected through your soul. So I want to know who this creature is. I want to know what our relationship is, because apparently the soul has an agenda. And in my experience, my soul has sent a lot of messages through the physical body, and that showed up like 3 tubal pregnancies and a miscarriage, and having to give an adopted baby back, and then standing in a hall looking at my nicely folded towels in the linen closet, because I was very persnickety then. Now I'm not quite so fussy. I have other things to do. But saying, all right, divine, I get it. You don't want me to have a family. What do you want me to do? Next thing I know, I'm taking classes and reading books on how to channel, and I'm taking classes on how to sense energy and consciousness and expand my consciousness. So it was a whole different story, and it's all been soul based. That's been the continuous thread through all the ups and downs and twists and turns and good decisions, bad decisions. And from what I can tell, my soul and the guides always put what I think are like, oh, that was a mistake. They always put that to best use, and it serves my evolution, And to me, that's just a kindness, that's like they turn what could have been a terrible loss or just a guilt trip I put on myself or bad behavior with other people. They take that and turn it to the highest purpose, and that, to me, that's divine love, right? That's love, right? There's no judgment in there. And one of the things I love about the Akashic Records is that they're governed by 3 principles. Resist not, judge not, and fear not. And this is the Akashic Records are a soul level plane of consciousness that records everything that a soul has ever thought, said, or done throughout time. So you want to know about past lives? Akashic Records has a record of them. They'll pull up, this is a massive amount of information and energy. The guides will pull up what's really important to you today. What is going to set you free the most? What's going to make you feel like you are more holistically organized, balanced, on the right path, confident, steady? They realize having bodies in an emotional environment with lots of conflicts seems to be a little like a topsy-turvy boat, right? Get ready, we're going into a big wave. So they utilize all of that, and they also give us calming practices, wonderful calming practices. And I tell you, when I'm typing this book, I'm channeling, and they'd have to settle me down. I was taking care of my father, who was in his 90s, and his wife, who was a few years ahead of him in her 90s. She had dementia, and he was just getting old. And he's a very, do-it-yourself kind of guy. And when he could not do it for himself or for other people, he was done. He wanted out of here. And so we were taking care of them, and it was a whole family event, and it worked out really, really well. But it was stressful. You do a 24-hour shift with them, and it's going to make a couple of meals. You're cleaning the house. You're answering questions. You're problem solving, because there were always problems, right? And they owned some apartments, and so I was like, okay, I know this is a little late, but Dad, will you teach me how to manage the apartments? I really discovered what I did not know, and I discovered my father was a very intuitive guy. Anyway, so I'm doing that. I'm running my own business as a channel. I'm writing a book. I'm in a full-time relationship. I'm trying to stay healthy and exercise. And, of course, the exercise fell down on the path, and that was that on that, because I'm still in trouble resurrecting that. But it's like there was so much going on. They had to basically channel me off the cliff to get me to focus and hear what the chapter was about, And then there were all kinds of chapter headings that we went into: how the soul is constructed, the spiritual heart, alternatives to worry, developing soul consciousness, the value you bring to your soul. Did you ever think that you brought value to your soul and the divine? I mean, isn't that a wild perspective? Well, I love it. It's the best, because my soul did choose me, with all my foibles, and there are plenty. I made lists of my character defects for many vacations. But, there are things that my soul needs me to do so that I can evolve. And as I evolve, my soul evolves. And then we both become closer to the divine. We both become more in that. It feels like going into the bubble of loving energy, a field of loving energy that embraces me safely and kindly. That's both my soul and the divine. That's what it feels like. And so it was like there was plenty of bait to continue going into that space, like I needed it badly to be centered. The chapters like living as your soul, or masterful manifesting. Manifesting to me is always like there's some trick that everybody else knows that I don't really know, right? So it's like a skill that I didn't get the handbook on. And yet, you know what I need always shows up at the right time in the right form, right? But does my mind believe that it's going to happen again? No. It puts fear in. So, there's 40 chapters in here. There's 13 Akashic Records processes. And chapter 1 is the introduction from the Akashic beings of light. And they're my guides in the Akashic Records. And they explain what they do and why. And then there's a little bit about me after that. But chapter 2 teaches you how to open your Akashic Records, the record of your own soul's entire journey, and how to ask questions in the Akashic Records. Questions are can openers to information and energy in the Akashic Records. And another interesting thing about the Akashic Records that is important for you to know is that in the records, the order of importance is energy first, information second. Now, has anybody had the experience of like the light kind of sliding in surreptitiously and getting to you underneath the mind chatter or the resistance or the, I don't know what this is, and it kind of gets the job done? Like energy has its own character. It has its own skill set that's way beyond what my mind can conjure. And to me, it's always about the light. It's been about the light since I was 17. And it's been about the light since I learned to channel. It's been about the light since I did Awakening Your Light Body, which was all about light and energy and consciousness. And, it was really fun. You could go surf in the starry skies and get way the heck out there and meet some beings. Okay. And it was useful, and it really helps in working in the Akashic Records. So let's see what else. There, page 12 in chapter 2 has a lot of information, basic characteristics of the Akashic Records. One nice thing is this is good news for if anybody who feels that they're not like psychic or a channel. Like, you don't have to have started channeling 37 years ago to be able to open your records. The Akashic Records are spiritual, not psychic. You're already spiritual because you have a soul. That's your spirit, right? Would everybody agree on that? Linking those two concepts? So you don't have to be like, oh, I can read the future. I'm not good at reading the future anyway, and neither are the records. However, the records contain everything that is happening, or excuse me, has happened, is happening now, and has the probability of happening. You know, if everything remains the same, tomorrow it's quite likely to be very similar. And given, if you're like me, I'm formulaic. I had a good day. I drank this much black tea, and I had a protein drink in the morning, and I lasted like till then, and I didn't eat too much, and I didn't get the sugar and the butter, and I did some readings, and that was a good day. I want to do it again today, so I'm going to do exactly that. No, I get whatever today is. Surprised. Be flexible, Annie. It says, do not fit life into a box. This doesn't fit in a box. So, energy first, information second. I love this perspective of the Akashic Records. And that's that a soul has everything it needs and nothing that it doesn't. So I needed to have illness and injury and difficult physical experiences to humble me. It really did. Because, you know, I'm in my mid-20s, and it's like the secretary with fibromyalgia and all the other things I didn't understand. Then I'm like, you just need to think the right thoughts. It's like, oh God, I want to meet her and ask her, beg forgiveness from her, because now I know. You know, sometimes it's not just about if I just think the right thoughts. I do have to shut up and rest and watch a lot of icky TV or the shopping channel or something, and just let time go by, waiting for my body to regenerate itself. Sometimes it's that way. And when I got MS, that taught me a lot too. Like, all of a sudden I had a slurred speech. My vision was a little wild. I had a burning hole in one eye, you know, like, and my balance wasn't very good. I sort of walked in an S shape. That went right along with the slurring speech. She's drunk, right? No, not yet. That came later. I had to get sober. That was sobering. But I needed the humility, and I needed something to create compassion for people, so I could be in this space of no judgment when people talk to me about health issues or having trouble in a relationship, or there's some block in their life that they just haven't been able to master, and it's frustrating and it's mystifying, you know. There's no judgment in the Akashic Records. They never go, you should know better than that. Well, I feel this big, well, I didn't, or I did that thing again, okay, you got a pattern for that. Does not mean you have to be married to it for your life, Annie, and the guides are always kind. They are the examples of unconditional love. Anyhow, so what I do is, not only this book teaches you how to open your records, and it's set up that you open your records before every chapter. You read the chapter, and then at the end of each chapter, there's a list of questions to answer, to write your answers down, because when you write them down, you are telling yourself what you got. And you are telling yourself, this is a little different than the way I normally think. That's how my soul sounds. This is my masters, teachers, and loved ones in the Akashic Records talking to me and leading me through this information or this question. And we use that format in a class. I gave you the flyer on the chairs. Did you guys get flyers in the back row? Everybody got them? Okay. This class is going on next Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. online, so you don't have to drive anywhere. Nobody has to drive the car. I like that. Save the earth. And this came out of wanting to know, okay, I had so many physical things happen. And I thought, bless you. Hallelujah. Yeah. So I had so many illnesses. I thought there's got to be a common thread in here somewhere, because I wrote down like the date and how old I was and kind of what was going on with me at the time. And then I looked at it like in my Akashic Records, what was the spiritual message? And there was a spiritual message on everything, from 5th grade, having bronchitis all the time, to the tubal pregnancies and the miscarriage, to having multiple sclerosis, to having shingles. Oh, that's a good one. All of these things have a spiritual, like, Annie, you didn't hear the subtle one. We got your attention now. As my teacher used to say, it's the 2x4 up against the head, But I am hard of hearing in terms of that, in terms of soul messages and stuff like that. There you go. There's a flyer for you. And this class is designed to use your Akashic Records to show you how your soul has been talking to you through your body all these years. One thing I learned in the Akashic Records also was that my soul looked over the menu and said, okay, 8 billion people on the possible choices for bodies and personalities. My soul chose this one. My soul chose this body and this personality. Your soul chose that body. Your soul chose that body. And so your soul chose that personality, for a specific reason, because it served your soul's purposes, whose goal is to evolve and have you evolve so we can all sit in the lap of the divine and be happy. Right? And I mean it. I think being happy is a big part of it. Otherwise, why bother? It's a lot of inner work for, okay, where's the chase down the tunnel? I want to know what the reward is at the end of the line, right? And so the reward in doing this class was I got to see that there was a common thread of messages that were spiritual nudges. Start doing this. Pay attention to that. Be kind to your body. Take care of your body. Oh, you tend to have a wacky nervous system, so you need to have acupuncture and chiropractic, and I need to get the right amount of rest. We go to bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. We're just that way. My Tibetan doctor, who really helped me come out of that 10 years of disability. And that was on top of the 10 years previous that I'd been diagnosed with MS. And he said, for every hour of sleep you get before midnight, it's worth 4 hours afterwards. Now my shrink put a bomb in there and she said, well, there are some people who are night owls. I'm like, so you say. I'm holding that in reserve. I'm not voting on that. But in my world, I do better if I go to bed early, have a nice 7-8 hour stretch of sleep, get up, do my day. Then I'm steady. And then I'm me. I'm not at the effect of not sleeping well or not paying attention to my physical needs. I meditate. Very good for me. I open my records almost every day and go, okay, what's the mission? What am I doing today? What's important? I have a to-do list from here to Texas, and like what I think is important is not always the energy that's ripe to accomplish. And my guides have taught me that. But doing this class really did show me there were messages all along the way. And it's kind of like, oh, this body is in cahoots with my soul, that invisible thing, like who I heard I have one, what do I do with it? And why am I responsible for it? You know, and how come nobody gave me any tools to exercise that responsibility? Or like, don't you need to have a lot of power to be responsible for your soul? But as individual sparks of divine light that were created to be exactly the way you are, we too. We have the same powers that the divine has. And we can heal from incurable diseases. And that's like, it's weird to say, I do not have MS any longer. I haven't had any trouble with MS since 2010. I don't take any meds. My neurologist is like, well, your MRI has been the same. It's a boring book now. It looks just like the last one, you know, like, and it can be done. It can be done. Now, then there's the aging part. I don't really have that aging gracefully thing down yet. So that's the new, like, what's with this? How do I do this? You know, like, oh no, we're going to go into the land of limitations again. And, you know, having a neurological issue was like that, you know? So that did make me much more receptive, you know? But I also know that there was cheese down that tunnel of having illnesses. You could pull out the I'm too sick to do that card and get the blue parking spaces, and your family doesn't make you clean up after the party. I'm doing that one again. You know, like, then when I got well, I really had to have a chat with myself, like, Annie, are you ready to be well? Yeah, I am. Well, are you ready to give up the blue parking spaces? Yeah, that's fine. You know, I started parking in the back of the lot even before that conversation. But, and then it was like, you might have to get a job. A job, a real job. I don't know, punch a time clock job. Oh my God. So I had to go do that, you know. And then finally I let go of the little job I had, and I'd gotten it down to 1 day a week, and it was like, I'm just doing readings. I'm just doing my spiritual work, doing what I do best. This is my soul's purpose, to be in front of you guys talking this way and sharing what I know. But it was like I was holding on to 1 day a week, a 5-hour shift, you know, like a paycheck was like, yeah, and I was like, well, that wasn't really worth the time and energy I had. You know, like, why bother? It was a psychological attachment. That was my dock. I still had a hand on the dock. Give up the paycheck. It was like, I'm gonna float free. Nobody's gonna nothing to root me, you know. And it worked out despite all of my fears and misgivings. So the class is on next Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's on Zoom. It's only $154. The last class I was doing was based on chapter 15 called Living as Your Soul Writing Workshop. That was a 7-week class, $500. So this is a really good bargain. And I teach you how to work in your Akashic Records and how to get information. And then I'm with you and you're like, well, Annie, I had this experience. What does that mean? You know, I'm there to hold your hand and to help you receive the message if you're not certain about what it was. But I tell you, you are going to be surprised that working in your Akashic Records delivers such clean, clear messages. Like, no fooling. People are like, I've been trying to figure this out my whole life. Why do I take on too much? Well, it's because I'm afraid I've already failed, so I have to do extra. You know, like, or another comment was, she got, I'm not failing, I'm feeling. I think that was like, see how succinct it is? but it's clear. It's like a little package, this message. It's got energy in it. It's got images in it. It's got punch. It's got stick-to-itiveness. You know, these are the kind of messages you get in your Akashic Records. And so it's a great tool for you to have no matter what. I mean, did you ever wander around the life going, everybody else seems to have gotten a how to do this handbook, but I didn't. Like I would, I'd set up and visualize the conversation I'm going to have with somebody about something that was difficult for me and I need them to either not do it or something, and I'd rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. And I would make my statement and they would answer something I hadn't predicted. And it'd be like, oh my God, now what? Right? So I need to be able to access that divine wisdom within me. And I believe that's your soul. And then our souls connect us with the divine. And I believe that all of that is based in love. And the guides say things like, guess what? The game is rigged, so you'll win. It's like, really? Do tell. I need more information, But when I look at it through the Akashic Records, it is. I wasn't supposed to have children. If I had children, I'd be diapering kids while trying to learn how to open my records or do Awakening Your Light Body wild meditations for a 3-day weekend. It would not have happened. And the parts of me that needed to be developed so that I could function as some kind of useful tool in the divine's hands, which apparently that's the reason that we're made the way we are. That the divine had reasons. Perfectly good, safe, valuable, contributive reasons for designing us the way we are. And the class, Body and Soul, Akashic Healing class, is all about you discovering that. So it's a good idea if you have my book, Bringing Forth Soul Consciousness, and you read chapter 1 and 2. 1's the introduction, 2 is the how to open your Akashic Records, because we're going to do the whole workshop as Akashic Records inquiries. And the Akashic Records respond to questions like, well, let me tell you, why? What? That's the thing. I mean, I've asked questions in my Akashic Records like, what is it about me and butter? And I was doing a swap with another Akashic Records reader. And as soon as those words came out of my mouth, with my records open, I get the vision of a big white cow with black spots. There's a rope around its neck. I'm a little orphan in a dirty white dress and bare feet, and I'm wandering around the town selling cow's milk, or I made butter, or maybe even got to cheese after I got a little older. But I was known in a group of villages as that little girl with the cow. That cow kept me warm at night. That cow fed me. So I knew the value of butter, especially when you're not getting enough nutrition. You got to have some fat to burn, right? Like I just don't burn it anymore. But I still like butter. And to me, it's like one of those things. I would like to be left alone in a dark closet with some butter so I can eat it by myself. The whole cute, and I sneak it. It's on the level of addiction and hiding and spurious behavior. But so it was really like I felt guilty and weird about it. But then it was like, so what's the truth about me? And I'm bursting into tears as soon as I got the image of the cow and that little orphan. It was like, I knew that was the truth about me and butter, and it just came in a picture in one flash. And I teach you how to do past lives. Are your ancestors doing something with your energy or giving you messages as well? Like I've done a lot of readings for people who felt like something was holding them back. And I get the image of like the bit in a horse's mouth and reins, and like the ancestors were going, whoa, back, 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 back down. And in a lot of cases, our ancestors had decided amongst themselves and you or me that this soul is the one we're going to put in place at a certain time coming up, because this soul is the trailblazer. This soul doesn't have the kind of fear we have, and this soul will whack down the jungle, run the trail for us, open up the energies so we can follow. But sometimes they go, we're going to get in a lot of trouble. We're going to die. Slow down, not so fast. Or, or our personalities will sometimes behave like that. And you have to kind of go, oh, poor personality. It's okay. You're doing a great job. It's all right. We're going to be all right. And you just keep going. And they settle down. Or you have to turn and go like, all right, ancestor, come on. You put me up to this. You voted me in here. I agreed. So let's get busy. I'm taking care of business. It was an assignment you gave me, and I accepted. So there you have it. So I'm wondering how much more time I have. We're doing good. I have about 5 minutes for questions. Oh, by the way, this book is $24. I take cash, checks, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle. I don't have a credit card reader, but this book, it's 40 chapters of a lot of very good information, and it's on Audible. It took me 1.25 years to get the recordings right, to get it up on Audible and pass their standards. It's on Audible now, so, and other audiobook platforms as well. Now, this is the companion journal to the book. And since every chapter ends with questions about the material in the chapter that you write your answers to, we thought this would be a good idea, is to set a book up that has the questions written out for you and a place to write your answers. And, one of the things I found is that going back and reading your notes a few weeks later is like eye-opening. Because usually something has shifted since you opened your records and said, blah, 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 blah. What? Why? What? How? And got the information. You go back and read it. It was like, that's exactly what I needed. And it lets you know you're on the right track. And usually the records do anyway. The information you get is like, it just feels so, that's me. That's what I needed. That's exactly it. And you feel like, I feel when I hit the mark in a reading, or when I get information from my records that helps me, I just feel like everything is in order. Things are the way they're supposed to be. I know what I need to do, who I'm supposed to be. I know why everything is the way it is. The circumstances are the way they are. I feel a certainty and a belongingness. I've never felt like I belonged in this world and in the spiritual world more than I do now. And it's taken a heck of a lot of personal inner work and all that. But the addition of knowing my soul has been a deal maker, a revelation, really, a kindness. So this book is $22. If you want to buy both of them, it's $40 for the pair. If you just get the book, that's great. But to do this class, and I would love it if you all did the class. I think it would be really, really useful, and it will give you a really good grounding in how to work in your Akashic records on a lot of different bases and a lot of different questions. And you'll go, oh, that's what you do. You design a question, you open your records, you go in, you ask it. And you don't want to go in and just ask yes/no questions, because then already over. Okay, okay, right? You want to know why. Give me the reasons. Give me the how. Give me the what is this? How is this good for me? How is this helping me evolve? How is it helping my soul evolve? I've even done situations like, that means I have to do wrap up. Okay, I got 5 more minutes. I did it. I was getting ready to do a reading later that one morning, and for my sister, my older sister, and I had a list about as long as your arm on my sister, right? If only she would, and she ought to do this, and if you got the handle on this problem, her life would be better. And then, judgment, 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 advice, advice, advice. Like, and I didn't even want to hear it. Like, and so I opened my records and I said, how can I do a good reading for my sister? I know I got 5 minutes, right? And they showed me like a write-on wipe-off board with a bunch of black writing on it with a list. And it was like, that was my representative, my list. And they just started erasing it. And I ended up with a blank whiteboard. And it was like, I got the message, let go of your agenda. And so that's it. That's the key to doing good readings. It's like, let go of whatever my mind has decided is the right answer, because I'm this little human. I'm looking through these really small viewing thing, but in the records, the view is far more holistic, and it takes into account lifetimes, and it takes into account who this person is trying to be and becoming, or why they did that in the past and how that served them, and all the things that I like about being in the records. And we had a fabulous reading. It was so freeing to see my sister as she is, not through my judgmental personality glasses and narrow-minded, list on her, right? And it was a blast. It was really fun. So, would you like to do the class? Who wants to do the class? You can declare in private with me later if you don't want to be public about it. Are you curious?
Will you be holding the class at different times? Like we don't,
If you're occupied next Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's a little short notice. Yes, but I don't know when. But
But you have a website or something?
I
that we can
do.
look at?
Yes, my website on this thing is
Oh, there you go.
anniechannels.com. You can email me at anniechannels@gmail. Here's my phone number down here at the bottom, 415-846-2412, right underneath my email address, anniechannels@gmail. And I'm also, you can get a good price on a reading today. I'm doing full Akashic Records readings for about a half an hour for only $80. My normal rate. You want one of those?
Yes,
Okay, you minute. Okay, you're next. Meet you at the table. And I mean, normally I charge like $204, and I'm really, I don't know. I'm thinking about raising my rates because I do have a lot of experience here, and it's like, I deliver. It's important to me to deliver for you guys. You can get just a regular psychic reading or an Anubis channeling for $65. And Anubis channeling is much more, that's my original guide. Anubis was a Greek mythological creature who helped the embalmers. Okay, 2 minutes. Good, there's somebody here managing me on the time because I like to talk. And I really like to talk to you guys because you're responsive. Thank you. Anubis would help the embalmers embalm the person who had died. And Anubis would weigh the heart against a feather. And if the feather weighed less than the heart, you had to go back into another lifetime. If the heart weighed more or weighed less than the feather, then Anubis would escort you to the afterlife. Now, I had no idea who Anubis was when I got to channeling. It was like, I just got a name that I could friggin' pronounce instead of the first thing was like a 12-syllable Hindi kind of sing-songy thing. And I'm like, I can't remember that. You have to make it simple. And so they did. And so Anubis likes to go chakra by chakra and work with you in that way. So that's about an option too. Or you can just say, okay, psychic reading. Okay, I'll look at your body clairvoyantly and What do they tell me to start talking about? Like that. Get in, get out. Anyway, so thank you. She says time's up. What? Yes, I do. I do. And it's got the banners like this behind it. There's two on either end of the table. And I would love to do a reading for you. And you should have hand up first. What's your name? Coral? Nice to meet you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Annie.
Yes.
I would like to buy 2 of the books.
Bingo.
Okay.
Here we go. Do you want just the text, or do you want
Both?
you want 2 sets?
One set?
Uh-huh.
The blue and the purple.
Uh-huh.
40.
Okay, great. Beautiful. Yeah. Very nice of you.
Did you want photographing that?
I did. In fact,
Is there already autographs?
yes, I did. What I do is I channel little messages on the inside cover, and they're all different. So if you can read my writing, hopefully you can read what it says.
I'm gonna ask her.